Hello, every pony. Sorry it's been a while, but I've been having problems with life. So, this is chapter 3 of Fallout Equestria. I hope you get as like it. I have not read it yet. Anyway, here we go. Chapter 3. Oh, also, I probably won't be doing too many voices because or if I randomly stop, it's because I have a canker right now. But I will read through it because I've taken a few weeks off. Chapter 3 Guidance. Books. I have read several on the subject. Terrible Twilight voice. All that other stuff. Ah. Ha ha ha. Okay. That should do it. Okay. Let's do this. Daylight. I had never seen the sun before, and it was fair to say I still hadn't. By the power of its light filled down through the thick, angry cloud cover, turning the sickly color yet still brighter and warmer than the humming lights of Stable 2. The air itself looked somehow wrong in the light, off color, but everything was illuminated. I could see the motes of dust and ash floating about the room. I wondered how healthy it was to be breathing it. For the first time, I really grasped the expanse of the outside. It it made me want to hide under the window. Well, looking working at the nerve to step into the very big outdoors, I proceeded to preoccupy myself with opening a locked chest I discovered the night before. It took two of my bobby pins, but it was worth it. Ah. Inside was the most beautiful dress I had ever seen. Such lines, such folds of fabric, and the colors, elegant and regal. Yet the fabric was light and breezy and did not sag. It was a dream. Sadly, a dream for another taller pony. Joy and disappointment mixed equal measure, but even if I could not wear it, at least not without some major tailoring, it was the prettiest and most cheerful thing I'd seen since leaving the stable. Carefully folding it up and slipping it into my saddlebags. Seems we are looting. Or, just taking. Mindful of the sniper pony from the night before, I stood back behind the cover of the unoverturned table. I used my magic to open the door. A tarnished bell hanging above tinkled cheerfully. Muted, its sunlight poured in. The sound of the outside flowed into the room. The twitter of birds, the far away, a sloshing river, the fresher air pushed back the stale. Cautiously, I moved into the doorway and looked out. Post-apocalyptic Ponyville, should I say not to turn fast, was a rotting skeleton of a once homely little town. Between collapsed buildings and burned homes, the streets were littered with rubble and refuse, and everywhere garish paints of depravity and grotesque graffiti and grotesquerie. The graffiti was not limited to outside. Raiders had uh, Raiders had defecated the carousel boutique with almost ecstatic fervor. I turned from the doorway, my gaze following the lines of profanity that curled up the walls and the rafters, and shrank back, choking in revulsion as the sunlight revealed above me dozens of dead, desiccant cats that had been hung from the ceiling like decorations. I had slept directly beneath them. Oh! I took an involuntary step back. I had one hand after the door. Beep! What was that? Beep! I had a half-buried orange disc in the ground just outside the door, a little red light on it. Beep, beep, beep. Close the door, the voice came out of nowhere, tiny, mechanical, but somehow full of urgency. My heart lurched as I jumped back inside, slamming the door hard. Scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. The explosion just outside, I tore the door off its frame, hurling it back into the room. I crashed through the tattered. It the tattered vanity divider, or the smoking door landing over me. Ugh! I was more shocked than hurt as I slowly dragged myself out from under the door. My ears were ringing. A trap? No wonder the raider ponies had invaded when I sleep. They left a present instead. Hurry, there are more on the way. I could barely make out the voice. My ears felt like they were stuffed with cotton candy. And Pinkie Pie is yaying right now. Who are you? I queried. Let's say queered, but that would have sounded wrong. But moved to throw my canteens over my neck while magically drawing out the combat shotgun. I had been dismayed to learn that I had only one shot left, but if a raider pony stepped to the door, I intended to make it count. An entirely different voice replied, come out wherever you are. That was weird. The head of a raider pony slid into the doorway, grinning maniacally, something in her teeth. It looked like a metal apple. She tossed her head, and it flew in the room at me, but the sting stayed behind in her teeth. A memory flashed in my mind as I, a younger pony, trotting to the stable screw room when an older pony stepped out of the doorway and held the water balloon at me. It had burst against my horn, soaking me in my homework. Hey, don't look so sad, blank flank. I was just trying to help you, in case your cutie mark was supposed to be a target. The older pony had laughed and hurried out the class, leaving me dripping and miserable in the hall. Lesson learned: when somebody throws something at you, don't let it hit you. Excellent advice. Don't even let it hit near you, because it might splash. The combat shotgun clattered to the floor as I focused my magic on the metal apple, catching it and hurling back out the door. The grenade barely cleared the door frame when it exploded. Dust and splinters of wood flew at me, getting in my eyes. A tingling erupted at my feet. Looking down, blinking the debris from my eyes, I saw the little bell from over the door had landed, mangled at my hooves. My eyes hurt. I kept blinking to clear them. Cautiously lifting the combat shotgun again, I edged towards the door. I could barely see the forelegs of the raider pony from around the edge of the doorframe. Completely still. With a second thought, I levitated the table. Also, I formed a barricade over the lower half of the doorway and crawled up behind it, quickly popping my head up as I looked over to see if the raider pony was still conscious. The leg wasn't attached to the rest of the pony. It took me a moment to spot the rest of her torn body, mercifully dead. I dropped back under cover, feeling the strangers pass over me. I had just killed some pony. Sneaking out of Ponyville was harrowing. I realized that I had been neglecting my eyes forward sparkle. Once I had brought up my EFS, it was far easier to determine where raider ponies were and to avoid them. Despite actively looking at me, raider ponies provided less than adept hunters. Using my magic to bang a mailbox lid down the street or break an empty bottle against a freestanding chimney several yards away provided a sufficient distraction to get past them. I had almost made past the last house when the sniper pony started taking shots again. The closest shot grazed my flank, a slash of burning pain and flowing blood. Fortunately, the wound looked far worse than it was, and even my meager magical skills were enough to stop the bleeding and bandage it. I crouched in a little gully, sheltered by trees. I fought to catch my breath. Somewhere in the distance, I heard music playing again. A rumble in my stomach was much louder, reminding me that I hadn't eaten in almost a day. I floated out one of the apples from my saddlebags. I uncorked one of my canteens. Of course, I had no more than taken a sip when my pit bucket threw a dancing red light into my EFS compass. Not coming from on the raider town, but from up ahead, deeper in the hilly woods. Of course, something else was coming for me, but the wasteland clearly hated me. And that's how I feel playing Fallout. Well, when you're not bone-crushingly alone. Anyway, I recorked the canteen and stood up, wincing as a flare of heat eaten my wounded flank. I lifted the combat shotgun, still with a single shot, and perked my ears to listen. My surroundings were quiet. Even the music was gone. Then I started to make out a faint buzzing, and he lifted the gun eye level and focuses down the top of the barrel, lining up with a warning mark of red on my EFS. At first I saw nothing. Then I spotted an ugly little flying creature, bloated and grotesque, hovering in between the trees. It spotted me and shot out a spiny dart through the air at me. It missed me, mostly getting tangled by my mane. I aimed but hesitated. The damn thing was so small, Olin could jerk around so erratically, I had almost no chance of hitting it. I didn't dare waste my only shot, so I did the next best thing. I dodged behind a tree and prepared to gallop. Another mark on my EFS followed by a zorching and crackling sound, quite unlike anything I heard before. The red light winked out, leaving only a new one, which my pickpocket defined as friendly. I feel sorry for what happened back in Ponyville, but that raider didn't give you any choice. She would have killed you. It was mechanical, tiny voice that had shouted the warning that truly saved my life earlier. In a mixture of relief and bewilderment, I watched as the sprite bot. I watched the sprite bot fly up to my hiding place. Who are you? What are you? Was the question. I wanted to escape my muzzle, but I suspected it would be rude. A friend. I raised my eyebrow. Oh, okay, passing acquaintance, but that doesn't mean that. But that doesn't mean you any harm. After a pregnant pause, what? Call me Watcher. I regarded the sprite bot critically. Watcher. Okay. I slipped out from behind the tree and started looking at where my apple, yeah, I rolled when I dropped it. Not far away, near the flying creature had been, I spotted a growing pink pile of ash. You do that? Bloat sprites. That's what you get when you mix sprites with paint. Can't stand it myself. Glad to help. Finding my apple, I levitated it. Thank you. And thank you for warning me about that thing in the ground. Mine. I blinked. Mine. I blinked. You want my apple? The sprite bot laughed, which was very weird to hear since there's an artificial voice that don't have any inflection. Oh wait, so it's a not really yet. Yeah, I'm just gonna make him sound like Microsoft Sam. That'll make it easier. No. Oh, that was what it was called. The explosive in the ground. It's called a mine. It triggers when you step up close. Oh, I took a bite of my apple. That's a very stupid name for a weapon. A bright bot laughed again. Ha 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 ha. It was a little unnerving. Then, strangely, I found myself chuckling as well. I really thought you meant my apple was yours. I shared it with you wanted, although I don't know what you do since you can't eat it. Huh? Huh? Having no emotion in his voice, the Spritebot did a good job of conveying confusion. You don't eat food. You don't eat food because you're a robot and you don't have a mouth. A third time with the laughter, although this was more of a silent chuckle. Oh, you mean the Spritebot? Well, I wasn't the only one that this conversation managed to confuse, although I was a little more confused now than ever. The Spritebot isn't actually me. I'm somewhere else. I just learned how to hack into these things to communicate and look around. I was beginning to get a picture. Then the music? Oh gosh, no, I turn that crap off when I hack into these things. You have no idea how old that music gets. And